Hey everybody, Mike Schlueter here. Welcome. Got a beautiful sunny day. We're going to take a few pictures here and we're going to talk a little bit about depth of field today. Actually, we're going to talk a lot about it. It's very simple. It's not complicated at all, so don't be intimidated if you're new to digital photography or photography in general. Essentially, depth of field means how much is in focus and sharp in the background and to some degree in the foreground other than your subject. And that's controlled through your f-stop or your aperture. It's different names for the same thing. Most lenses have a range of f-stops, f2.8, f4, 5.6, etc. The lower the number, like f2 or 2.8, the shallower the depth of the field. The higher the number, like f16, the greater the depth of field. And you use that knowledge in determining what you want in your background and foreground, if you want that blurred or sharp in addition to your main subject. We're going to do a quick little demonstration. In front of me we've got a bunch of cattails that go on for 30 yards probably down the way here, but specifically this one I'm right in front of me here, that's what I'm going to focus on. That's going to be, quote, my main subject for the shot. I'm going to shoot this without changing anything else. I'm going to shoot one shot at f2.8, a wide lens opening, which is going to let the background completely blur or predominantly blur, and then this will stay sharp. Then I'm also going to do an exposure at f16, which will have focused on this, will still be sharp, but the background will also have a lot of sharpness and depth of field. Totally different looks, same scene. Now, of course, you can do a myriad of changes within that range as well. In other words, you don't have to be either completely out of focus or focus fall off, depth of field shallow, or sharp all the way through. You can be kind of halfway in between. Like if you pick, say, instead of f2.8 or f16, if you pick f8, you're going to get some depth of field and some sharpness, but the extreme edges will start to fall off. And once you shoot some images and review them in your camera, that's when it's going to be the aha moment. But anyways, what we're going to do, I shoot manual exposure mode, so here's how I'm doing it. I've set an ISO of 200. Always start with low ISO and work up as necessary. Gives you your best image. I've picked my f-stop, 2.8. Now, what shutter speed do I need for a proper exposure? I don't know at this point. So I'm just going to pick one at random, and I'm going to make an exposure. Right now it's at 1/2500th of a second. That's pretty fast. But we've got a bright sunny day, a lot of light out here. So I'm going to make an exposure. I'm focused on the item right in front of me, the cattail. I'm going to review the image, and it's just it's a tad dark, so I'm going to open up my shutter speed a little bit. I'm going to go from 1/2500th of a second. I'm going to open up 2/3 of a stop. Most cameras are set up where each click is 1/3 of a stop. So 3 full clicks would mean 1 complete stop. So we're just going to try another exposure and see how close we are. Okay. Oh, that's right on the money. That looks great. And if I usually, from experience, I can judge these by looking at this. If you like, we'll have some future tutorials on reading and using histograms, and then that helps if you're new to it to make sure you're not blowing out highlights or blocking up shadows. But once you get used to it, you'll be able to do this on the fly. So our exposure is great. We're at 1/1600th of a second at f2.8. So at this point, we're going to make an exposure. I've got my focus point and autofocus locked right on my cattail here. Make the exposure. Very good. Beautiful. Now, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to go all the way to f16. Now, you could calculate how many stops you move in this direction, meaning going from 2.8 to f16, and then open your shutter speed from 1/1600th of a second to a slower shutter speed to correspond. I typically just move them and then adjust, like I set the initial exposure. It's so quick, I don't have to count 1, 2, 3, I just do it. So I'm going to crank my aperture to f16, and I'm going to crank my shutter speed down. I'm just going down. Here's 1/250th of a second, 1/125th, 1/100th. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to try one and see what it looks like. Once again, focus point right on my cattail here. Nothing else has changed. Make the exposure, review the LCD. I could probably go another 1/3 of a stop. So I think I'll open up from 1/100th to 1/180th. And we're going to make another one. And that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think exposure-wise we're good, and so we're going to call it good at that. Now, you'll see the difference when you see the two different images. Other than the depth of field, nothing has changed. And we made that change through the f-stop. That's what really controlled that change of what was sharp and what was blurred in the background behind this main cattail in front of us. So, I hope these tips help you, and good luck with your photography. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Mike Schlueter, and I look forward to seeing you next time.